All right. Hello, everybody. Mike Sokolowski. I'm the Director of Grassroots Advocacy here at the Hearts for Home Care program. Welcome to today's training for all of our Hearts for Home Care family. We're going to talk about storytelling, storytelling to legislators on behalf of clients and staff. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. One, over the last couple of weeks, I owe a few people some trivia swag. I want you to know it did come in. And this is what's going to be getting sent out to you, these nice tumblers. Today, we are not going to start with trivia, but we have some opportunities for people to share in the chat and some stories. And I will keep tabs of such things and add to the list where I see fit. So, yes, be interactive. Two, we are joined today by Hearts for Home Care advocates and ambassadors. I always like to stress that. Hearts for Home Care is a biotic community supporting home care in the community. So what that means is anyone could be an advocate fighting for home care, acting as a voice. We have advocates, and those are anyone that would like to join us on this journey. And we also have our grass tops advocates, which are called ambassadors, and they are part of Bayada Home Healthcare, and they are our ambassadors. All right, so that is just technical jargon to start this out, but when you hear different terms, I just always want everyone to be comfortable with that. Next, we have a lot of new advocates and ambassadors joining, and always reach out to either advocacy@heartsforhomecare.com or me, MSOKOLOSKI at heartsforhomecare.com. If you'd like to meet one-on-one to get more ready for legislative meetings, interactions, any type of advocacy engagement, would always love to work with you one-on-one in doing so. And with that, today, when leading a training, I am a not fan of PowerPoint, but today we are going to have some PowerPoint involvement, which I will give a boo hiss. I don't know how everybody else feels about PowerPoint. You could put it in the chat and let me know, but I do not like PowerPoints, but today it is useful. It's a useful resource and I am going to use it. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. All right. So today it's going to be all about stories. So client and field staff stories. So in terms of authenticity, more credibility when told in first person. But today's lesson and training is about you, advocates, communicating on behalf of clients and staff. So why did I put that there? I put that there because the ultimate goal over the last few weeks, us learning about leading a legislative visit and building a relationship with your direct constituent legislator. Today, we're going to talk about telling stories on behalf of clients and staff. But the ultimate end goal all the time in home care advocacy is to experience that bottom right picture that you see, the home visit. So we, by doing all the things that we do, are ultimately trying our best to get legislators in the home to really see what is happening in home care, the competencies that are nurses, home health aides, therapists, whomever are providing care, and how that affects not only the client but their family for them to age in place, be it a medically fragile child or a senior. So that's why I'm saying it's more credible, yes. But until we get to that point when we could have them be the first, give the first person account, you're the person that's going to be delivering these stories. And you're also the direct constituent meeting with your legislator to try to spread this message. So what is the impact of the stories that you're going to tell? We know it would be easier if it were them saying it, but until we get to that point, as I said, the legislators want to hear from direct constituents, and that's you. And we want to spread that network like a spider web. We want you to be talking to your legislators in district, all throughout your states, all throughout the United States, for the federal legislators that we work with as well. And these stories, even though the data is very important, because the legislators will use that when shaping policy, budgets, etc. It's the personal stories. We know that being part of their humanity is what is going to tug on the heartstrings later. So that is why it is one of the most, if not the most important component of a legislative meeting or interaction. So when choosing your story, I know everyone on here, being an advocate, are at all different walks of the home care spectrum behind the scenes. Again, myself, working government affairs, I'm not interacting with clients or staff on a daily basis. Others of you out there could be field employees of home health or hospice. Some of you could be a nurse in private duty nursing, working with pediatric clients. Some of you can be working in insurance behind the scenes for home care in the home care industry. So you all have different perspectives. When what I'm saying here on the slide about choosing the story based on priority of your meeting. So when you have these legislative meetings and we get together as a collective voice advocating for home care, we'll have one, two, maybe three, hopefully not, but you want one or two very important priorities of that meeting that you're looking to achieve. So you want to craft your story to fit the priority that you're there to work out, work on, achieve. Sometimes it's even preventing. Sometimes there are cuts to certain industry home care facets that you're trying to prevent, not just like a rate increase. Sometimes it's regulatory, something that would make it easier and less burdensome for field staff. So when you're choosing the story to corroborate your ask based on the data that you're bringing to a meeting, always think about how the story is going to tie in to that specific state or federal priority. So here, this paints the picture visually. What you're trying to do is paint the picture, your story that looks like this, but is only coming across verbally. You want to communicate how, again, the top right, through the holidays, clients in the home care industry can remain at home, aging in place with their family and loved ones. That is a perfect setting for something like this. Valentine's Day is coming up, etc. But you want to communicate and paint a picture like you see here, top left, having a pediatric client be able to remain in the home, go to school with their friends. Bottom right, live with siblings, etc. One second, I thought I was going to sneeze there. But again, so you get the idea, is what you're trying to do is paint the picture verbally with what it looks like on the screen right now. This, you could harken back to your days of English class. My Angelou had to come up at one point, either in high school or college. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but never forget how you made them feel. And you know that as well. A lot of things that you learned over the years that you've heard people communicate with you versus something that affected you personally, that tugged on your heartstrings, that resonates and lasts with you a long time. So when we're going in there with facts and data to meet with the legislator regarding whatever that priority is, and we are, again, going to corroborate that ask with a personal story, that's the part that specifically will remain in the back of their mind versus them taking 8 to 12 meetings that day and being brought a folder to leave behind in their office with the facts and data. There'll be stacks of facts and data every day that they take meetings with constituents, lobbyists, etc. But it's the story that you're able to communicate to them, backing up those facts and data, that will move the legislator and is the strongest part of this entire process of meeting with a legislator and using the story to put us over the finish line. So, what are some of the key components of effective storytelling? 1, start with a bang. I am going to minimize for a second. Okay. So, in the chat, how quickly do you have, or how much time do you think it takes before you lose someone in conversation? So how much time do you think you have to grab the attention of someone you're speaking with when you open? Whoa, Amy Everhart, Katie Sweeney, Stasha Frazier. Did you guys see this before? Have you sat in on this training before? All right, so kudos to, it looks like 100% of you watching this right now. 30 seconds. So that was the correct answer. You have 30 seconds to grab the attention of people that you are having a conversation with, such as, and I also noticed that, it's snuck in there a little bit, but I want to make sure you're paying attention. So yes, 30 seconds is what you have to grab the attention of that legislator. So what you want to do is clearly start that conversation with a bang. And what that means is you're going to be bringing facts, data in a leave behind folder, but you're also going to bring that personal story and bring with it, even if it's a little catch about the neighborhood or a specific restaurant or a library or somewhere that the legislator goes, or something the legislator supports in the community, telling them that you're aware of the Kiwanis Club, whatever it is that you could find, and we'll work with you pre-meetings on things like this. But you want to find that connection that you can make and immediately put the legislator on alert that you've done your research on them and you are aware of a connection to a certain thing right out of the gate by living in their community, tying that you are a direct constituent of theirs. I apologize for my sniffling, by the way. I think everyone knows someone that has a cold at this point. All right. Second, bringing the client or field staff story to life. This one is really, I feel like I'm cheating by using this particular example. But if you don't know, one, I'm not an Eagles fan. So I'm going to get that right out of the way. Kudos to all of you Eagles fans watching this, but I am not one. But this is former Eagles player Jon Runyan, who became an elected official. With Jon is someone that I've gotten to know over the years as part of the my role in advocacy and working with Eric LeGrand. Eric was a football player with Rutgers University and suffered a spinal cord injury and has become massively independent and successful because he has utilized home care and taken it to the next level on interacting in the community and being the example of someone thriving in the community while receiving home care. Eric has businesses in the community. If you follow Hearts for Home Care on social media, you will see a feature for Black History Month on our Hearts for Home Care social media sites featuring Eric coming up over the next few days. But The connection, obviously here, the real easy for me cheat that I used here, Eric was a former football player, meeting with a legislator who was also a former football player. So even if we were just speaking to John Runyon at the time about Eric being a home care client or recipient, that's the connection you can make in the picture that you paint verbally to something that looks like this. So that is the reason I use this cheat code to tie it in a little bit, is that you see the picture, but what your job is to connect the legislator by painting the picture verbally sometimes, because you don't always have an opportunity like this. All right, so we are going to get to this third part in a little bit, but we're going to go keep it in order. So the next part of it, after bringing your backstory to life, is telling that personal story. So I met Eric LeGrand in the hospital, went to do an assessment, and learned that he'd be able to stay in the community if we had home care 20 to 40 hours a week, able to provide it for him to thrive. So you start your story painting a picture about the person and how it connects to you. It was extremely tough in my role as a, whatever it is, staffing the case, working with insurance to get coverage approved for night shifts. If you are the actual field employee, having backup to take a day off and spend time with your own family, work-life balance, making sure there's someone in place when you can't be on that shift, taking care of Eric specifically. So the little ways that you are able to paint the picture for the legislator about your personal story and what you see firsthand is always what's going to resonate. I can, as a great example of this, remember going to an advocacy day. So for those of you who don't know, advocacy days when we go to a capital, state or federal, and pair up 3 or 4 in a group and meet with a certain amount of legislators throughout the day. And I was fortunate to get paired up with someone who had been working in home care for 2 months. So nervous, definitely not ready for this. They were only 2 months into their working career, never mind going to their first lobby day / advocacy day. And I thought that maybe this would be difficult for them, but I was paired up with them to kind of help them out, guide them along. This particular advocate, when it got to the story part, had 2 examples that were so profound. He held the legislator's ear for 15 of the 20 minutes of that first meeting I had with someone that I never thought was going to speak up even. But because they made that personal story their own, they owned it, they delivered it, and the legislator couldn't have been more interested because that's what they want to hear. They want to hear what is happening in their community and how they could be a part of a solution. So the star moment. So this is the takeaway as you're getting to that point in a meeting when you have to, as I've said before, for those that watch different trainings we have, you always have to ask, do you support this? Yes or no? Put your tongue behind your teeth and just wait for them to answer first. Well, here's the part that makes it a little easier to get to yes. Leave them at something they'll always remember. So whatever a sticking point is, typically it's a success. During the personal story delivery on step 3 that we just went through, that's where you're going to tug a lot at the heartstrings at a lot of the roadblocks, hurdles in home care that you have to overcome to get to being a successful outcome in home care. But at this point, you're getting ready to set up something that they'll remember and take away that's a positive, because we collaborated with another home care agency, because we were able to utilize an increase in personal care rates from the year before. We were able to hire more people and now keep X amount of people, cases staff, where last year it was 20% less. But whatever it is, that's a successful outcome that they could see there's something at the end of the road for this particular ask, and how this legislator could kind of be your star. And with that, I'm almost giving away the next step, but I don't know how many people personally know legislators. However, the second line in the middle left there of the screen is pretty easy to get them motivated. Tell them how they can be the hero. I've worked with legislators where their nickname was Cheese, not because they like dairy products, but they liked being in photos. I don't know if you know this, but being in this field, legislators like being seen in a positive light and promoted either on social media, in the newspaper, in the news, as being the hero, as being the champion. And this is where we want to get our legislators, especially you, the advocate, spread out like you are, making these connections with legislators throughout the state or on a hospice home health side throughout the United States, spreading the message and communicating with legislators the need for what it is that you're there to ask, the priority that you have. We want as many of these champions or heroes as we can get to support home care to make it easier for our clients and field staff. So at the end, when you're asking, do you support X, Y, and Z? It's almost like, will you be our champion in supporting this to get us over the finish line? Set them up to be that hero. So we know, as I started the entire training, that the ultimate end goal is getting a yes to our priority yes. Let's be real. But to get to that, the biggest, most impactful way you can do it is the home visit. So all of what we're learning over the last few weeks on leading legislative meetings successfully, telling your story, communicating with them, learning how to deal with public affairs and social media interactions, should that come up during your time, either at a Capitol, in district, wherever it may be. But you want to keep building this relationship with one or two legislators, either your state reps and senators or your federal congressperson and senator, because direct constituent is key. And then the type of home care you're advocating for makes a world of difference. That's why if you're in a role in home care that's Medicaid driven, you're probably going to be advocating in state capitals. So that's where we're going to focus on you as an advocate, working with your state representative and state senator to set up that legislative meeting to get your story straight and on point, and make sure by the end of that meeting, that legislator feels like they could be the champion for your cause. Any Stephen King fans out there? Before we go to the stop sharing the screen portion, I want to leave you with that, as Stephen King, I think, has a new movie coming out in the next week or two. All right. Now, with these stories, besides doing it in person, what is the other opportunity you have? If you don't know about this yet, you haven't attended any training or got an email from me, Hearts for Home Care is our website. Easiest way to start sharing your story is under the Get Involved tab here on the page. Lower middle, you'll see Share Your Story. You can share this website with anyone, clients, field staff, whomever. When you click that, you can either get started by sending us a web form message here about a client, a family member, a field staff, a neighbor, whoever it may be, starting the process here. Or, which I love, on the right side, You click under send a video. This will pop up, hit record video, and either you or you can encourage your clients, if you're a caretaker, anyone, to share their story and report it there. You get as many tries as you like, which is great. Because it's not like we're all going to get this on the first try. So when you click the button, if you don't like it, if somehow you become gook, you just hit end and record again. And until you're really happy with it, then you submit. There's 2 easy ways on our website to do this. Share your story via the web form or record your own video. But there is so much on the Hearts for Home Care website for you to become a better advocate. I just want to make sure that you're aware, and this is one of the keys to it. And if you haven't seen any trainings before I stop sharing, right here, always visit our Hearts for Home Care YouTube channel. It has all of our old trainings. It also has video tips, social media posts that you could share, etc. And it's free. Subscribe. So if you see subscribe, it just means that it's giving you updates and there's something new on there. So with that, do I have anyone on the attendee list here that would like to share their home care story if they were to meet with a legislator? Is there anyone brave enough here that wants to give it a try on what they would say when meeting with the legislator if they had the opportunity? And for hands, volunteers, anyone here, and if not, don't worry. Just want to see if someone had this in their holster ready to go. If you don't, again, practice it, because we have many lobby days / advocacy days coming up in many states that Hearts for Home Care has a presence, and we'll be looking for you to join these days. And where can you find out about when these advocacy days are? That's right, Hearts for Home Care website. On the top left, there's an events page, and all of them are listed there, and get more information on join. I will look at the chat besides those burning my eyeballs Eagles posts. Anyone have any questions, comments before we wrap this one up? This one's a little quicker because it's just the story component of a legislative meeting itself. But I wanted to make sure I left you with a lot of the key tips and components that go along with that, making impactful during your visit. Anyone else with any questions or comments? All right, we did well. They went smooth. I'm gonna go get a nice Vicks tissue and blow my nose as soon as we're done here. Next week, we have one more training of the annual training series. You can find that on the events page on Hearts for Home Care. Thank you, Cindy. And if any of you need to connect one-on-one prior to getting started with any engagement with legislators, please reach out. If you have any questions, concerns in general, comments, hey, Mike, you could do this better on your next training, send it to advocacy@heartsforhomecare.com. We would love to hear from you. But with that, I appreciate all of you for joining today. I look forward to seeing you hopefully in a state where we have an advocacy day coming up over the next 2 months. And look for the Hearts for Home Care newsletter coming soon. Everyone have a great day.